In a studio that's in a basement comes the epic story of how two friends changed the future of the movie podcast game forever. The reviews are in. Boys Life magazine gives the High Sci podcast 4.5 acorns. The Daily Bugle says, these guys are super legit. And Pope Francis declares the podcast as life-affirming. From the kid who tried to get smart with David Spade and got fucking old.
You're still out. You're still bad.
And the guy who can name all four Baldwin brothers.
Alec, William, Daniel, and the baby boy, Stephen.
Live from the studio of his parents' basement, the Have You Seen It podcast.
Welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight, and sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Krause. Cash, how you doing?
Doing good. Doing real good.
Well, that's
because I'm very excited to talk about our subject matter today.
Yes.
TV Tuesday.
Yep.
We're back.
We are back.
New TV show. Brand new. Right off the fucking presses. Yeah. Bly Manor. Finally, Mike Flanagan has returned. We fucking love Mike Flanagan.
Oh, yes, we do. And not the only man to return either. Not the only woman to return either.
But it's the kind of the anthology series, the second season of whatever Mike Flanagan. I don't think they have a name for it yet.
I think it's just The Haunting anthology
I guess
series,
the Haunting anthology series. But because he did Haunting of Hill House.
He did, yep.
Which was amazing.
That one was phenomenal.
Yeah. And it just came out, Bly Manor. So we are reviewing Mike Flanagan's Bly Manor. But yeah, a lot of familiar faces in this.
Yeah, a lot.
Hometown hero, Henry Thomas.
Henry Thomas himself. We got to love him. Gotta love him. Elliot from E.T., if you don't know.
Playing an alcoholic in this.
Yes.
I wonder if he had to dig deep for that motivation.
Well, you know what? They do say he's maybe a little bit of a method actor.
A little too much, if you ask me. There can be a dangerous path down method acting.
Yes,
you could go a little bit too far.
To the Heath Ledger thing.
Yeah, you go. Henry Thomas took it to the next level.
Yeah, he did.
He took it to the next level. But I'm sure that will hold up in court, too.
Absolutely.
It's like it's method acting.
It's method acting. Like, look, I wasn't in the right state of mind. What do you want from me?
I wasn't Henry Thomas. I was Henry from Bly Manor because they have the same name.
They do.
Which is really on the head. It was really on the. You got to think Mike Flanagan was almost
wrote that in. He's like, hey, Henry, we got to have a talk. This is your intervention without directly coming out and saying something.
Yeah, and like the last day, Henry Thomas is like, oh, fuck. It's just me. The character is just me.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we poke fun at him.
We do, and I don't know why, because we love Henry Thomas.
We do, and
it's
just funny because nothing ever happens here. So when Henry Thomas is arrested for drunk driving in Hillsborough,
right? Everyone's like, what the fuck? That's the biggest news.
Why
here.
the fuck is he? Yeah, why is he in Hillsborough?
Yeah, why is he in Hillsborough?
No one's in Hillsborough. No one famous. So why is Henry Thomas? Apparently he lives here.
He loves Oregon. He loves this place, man.
Well, he loves the alcohol.
He does.
He loves the microbrews.
And that tax-free alcohol.
He does that taxfree alcohol.
That is true.
So
very cheap alcohol.
So if you're an alcoholic, you're coming to Oregon.
California.
You're
Those
going
are
to
two
Oregon.
places to be.
But he is great in this.
He is.
His whole doppelganger thing, because he's kind of playing two characters in this.
Yeah.
But
which
he's great, man.
For me, they kind of left that open ended. I didn't exactly know what the doppelganger situation was about.
Yeah.
Was that his subconscious? Playing with him.
That's all it is. Yeah.
Because I didn't think it was like a ghost or anything. I didn't think at one point I thought potentially it could have been his brother in his his own form. Talking to him back and forth, but it was just as weird.
We'll jump all around, but I love the way they revealed that. Where like you first see his doppelganger and you're like, who is this guy? And he's got this big grin on his face.
He always has that big creepy grin.
And then you find out later that, he was having an affair with his brother's wife, and his brother came in and was like, you with that shit-eating grin. And that was him projecting his self-conscious. I love that. Yeah. And I also think it was the thing that, like, if you're even involved in this house in any way, creepy shit happens to you. So his doppelganger actually became, like an actual thing, an actual presence. But yeah.
Well, and what was crazy too to find out that the little girl was his daughter.
I know, Flora. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't even know. That was a good reveal too.
It was. So as far as, I don't want to jump into this too much, but how do you think the second, quote unquote, second season stacks up with The Haunting of Hill House? How did you like overall The Haunting of Bly Manor?
I loved Haunting of Hill House and I loved Bly Manor. I would say I might even like them equally. I mean, I loved, there's so much stuff that we can get into in Bly Manor that I loved, but I loved, that it was a, not because Bly Manor, it is based off Turn of a Screw, yep. Which is, another horror novel, yep. Novella or whatever from like the 1800s. I don't know. So, but it was, it was still a haunting of a house, mm-hmm. But it was almost a completely different story than The Haunting of Hill House. Yep. And that's what I thought, because at first I was trying to think, maybe is this going to be just the same story in a different setting, rehashed? But no, it was completely different. And he did the same thing in the first one where he made you care about these characters and the family drama more than you cared about this supernatural element. Yep. All these characters were so great in figuring out, what happened to the main chick's boyfriend and why she kept seeing him and stuff. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, and, Mike Flanagan only directed the very first episode of this. But with that said,
but he's the showrunner.
Right.
And then they're the real directors.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting to, where I really believe this show was put together so well. I thought the storyline for how many, when you're jumping from time frame to time frame, it can get real convoluted. You can get confused. But I thought they did a really good job of going to the 80s and then coming back to like 2007 and all the time periods or all the time, jumps. I thought all were in one cohesive story.
Not even that, but it gets even more convoluted, when what's her name? What was her name? Holly?
The maid?
Yeah.
Hannah.
It gets even more confusing when when you're figuring out she's going back through memories constantly, and I love the way they did the time element too, because it doesn't even go back. It goes from 2007 to the 80s to the 1400s, the 1500s.
Yeah,
or something?
At one point, yeah.
Yeah, so it really jumps around all over the place, and it messes with. It's a lot to do with memories because Flora jumps in and out. We end up figuring out it's called dream hopping. Yep. So it's much more, the timeline is much more, unlinear than it is in Haunting of Hill House, right, where you're just jumping forward to them in present time and then them in the house. Mm-hmm. This one, you're going all over the place. Yep. And it is confusing, but it clears it all up eventually. It does. It all gets fucking cleared up. At some points, you might think you're missing something, but no, it clears everything up towards the end. And I love the way they did that.
Yeah, and I thought they had a clear direction of where they wanted to start and end this show.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most important things, especially when you're dealing with a horror show.
Yeah.
Because that would be so easy to just screw that up. But I thought they did a really good job.
And every episode felt like its own little standalone, movie. Mm-hmm. Like every episode had like a beginning, a middle, and end, like a resolution. Yeah. And it was, I loved it. There's so much at the start. It gives you so much at the start that you're trying to piece it all together early. But then it slowly unravels all the shit with the spirits with no face and stuff like that. It gets into all that, which I wasn't sure if it was going to, but it gets into all that. And the evil little kid, you're like, what the fuck is this kid?
What the fuck?
Damien?
With no face?
Yeah. Is this kid evil? And we got to talk about the children actors in this, man.
Phenomenal.
Mike Flanagan is Spielberg-esque in his ways to be able to find children actors. Because Flora and her brother,
Miles.
If they ever do an Omen remake to play Damien,
I swear
they
to Christ,
have to.
I said it 10 times when me and Mary were watching the show.
Good.
He looks just like Damien from the Omen.
If you ever did I think they already did an Omen remake.
They did
actually.
in 2006. Remember it came out 666.
It was but it was in the middle of all those fucking horrible, like Exorcist remake, Leatherface remake, all those shit.
Very
remakes,
disappointing.
Cash
remakes.
grabs, that's the worst era of horror movies ever, is the early 2000s.
Right.
But yeah, he'd be perfect, man. He's
perfect Damien.
Such a phenomenal actor. And Flora, who's the actress who plays Flora?
Amelie Bay Smith.
She is
Bea Smith.
Amazing.
She is
perfectly splendid. Yeah,
yes, perfectly splendid.
She is fucking phenomenal.
She is. Though.
She is so good, and her range too, especially when she was going back through her memories, and she's like, I know this isn't me because I was 5 at the time, and
I'm
now
tucked in again.
Yeah, so good. I couldn't believe it. Same thing with Haunting Hill House. They had a phenomenal children actors too. They did. But
well, Miles was phenomenal too because like. He had to, I mean, obviously Flora, the actress, had a lot of range, and the way she was able to cry and like, with child actors, sometimes it's like, you don't, like you could tell they're crying, but are they really emotional?
Yeah.
But like these kids were like really emotional.
Well, especially in horror films. That always amazes me when a child is in a horror film and they're able to show so much fear, for one. You could tell, especially when Flora is just, a lot of times she'll just like stare off into space when she sees the fucking lady walking around, and you could tell, that she's staring at something and scared fucking shitless. Yeah. But
when that shit too, where she keeps looking over off to the side, and it's like, oh, never mind, it's okay.
And then you'll just see the fucking lady walk by. Shit. It's horrifying, but yes, such amazing jobs. Amazing jobs.
Well, and then Miles, not only that, but Miles, and I mean, Flora had to do it a little bit, but Miles had to play 2 completely different characters. And he had to play Peter, Oliver Jackson Cohen's character
from Invisible Man.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff.
He
plays a very good conniving, kind of rich douchebag character.
He's got the face.
But someone in this character, Mike Flanagan, is so good at writing these characters. There's not any one-sided character.
No.
You fucking feel for that guy with his mom and everything, and how she's a nut job, and what his dad did to him, and his mom just allowed it to happen and then blamed him for it. It's crazy. But yeah, going back to Miles playing 2 roles, he played that character he did a perfect impression of that guy, I thought.
He did.
And him being like a smooth talking and him like flirting with, the teacher and stuff. It's you don't know. You think he's possessed at the start. You think he has a demon in him or something.
You do, yeah.
Especially when he goes to the school. The school scene is fucking crazy when he's trying to get kicked out. And the pastor that like keeps helping him, he's got that pet dove.
Well, do you remember in the church? It was so creepy because I was like, no, this kid's definitely possessed by a demon.
For sure.
Because you see him just scurry in the back, and then you see the dove dead. But you could see him if you pay attention.
Yeah.
And one other thing that I fucking love about Mike Flanagan's style of horror, I got to bring this up, man, because it is my absolute favorite way. And if I ever make a horror film or do a horror TV show, I'm going to take elements of this entirely. And that is the way that every single shot, every single take, you have to pay attention carefully because he has these figures in the background. He has these shadow people in the background. And like even when they would walk into the candlelit place, where Hannah was, there would be a dead soldier standing there, and then the next shot,
the church that they have on
the property.
That's just the basic premise is these kids, their parents died in a tragic fucking accident or something, and they live on this British estate. Those estates you always see in movies that are just thousands of years old.
Generation after
and these
generation
people have money, and you don't even know how they have this money anymore, and they don't even know how they
don't.
But it's been, exactly. And they own so much fucking land. But, they have a church on their land that they own, I guess.
I guess good for these trying times, in quarantine times. At least you can still go worship.
If there's one group of people that aren't struggling right now, it's surprisingly the mega rich.
Yeah, I would say.
But so they have this massive, and it's called Bly Manor, and it's this massive and it's endless, I think.
Yes,
they walk throughout the entire thing, and you're constantly seeing new parts of this, but it's fucking, so the kids, they have to hire this teacher because their last teacher killed herself, of
course, classic.
Yeah, and at the start, you don't really know anything about her, but you learn more and more about that chick, and we find out she didn't really end up killing herself. But so they hire Nell from season 1, Victoria Peretti, I think her name is. She plays Danny in this, and she's hired on.
She's
so good.
Phenomenal actress.
Yeah, she played a smaller role in Haunting of Hill House.
She did, because she was,
Yeah. Well, spoiler. I mean, people already know that, but she killed herself.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. But, they both have similar kind of character arcs, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, they end up kind of meeting the same.
Right.
But it's both, helped on by, this spirit or whatever. But she's great, man.
Yeah, she is.
She fucking killed it. Especially, she's the one has constant, PTSD and trauma because of her boyfriend, which was great. Let's talk about that. I loved the imagery of the boyfriend and the glasses with the flames and how he's all in black and white. I loved it. It looked so fucking cool. It was awesome.
Well, it was right away, too. I mean, like, the first time she's crossing the street to go to the building and you see him, a flash of him in the car.
Well, anytime.
Well, actually, even before that.
Yeah, and anytime in a mirror. Remember, she covers mirrors up everywhere. And they take the mirror horror gag that we talked just about to the next level.
They do. They use it quite a bit.
It's the reflection in everything. But you really never see it coming, because it's almost like Mike Flanagan's so smart, he sets it up to where it's like you don't even know the mirror's in the room until she looks at it. Yeah. So it's not, he doesn't like tease it early. It's because normally she has mirrors covered up everywhere, because every time she looks in the mirror, she sees this ghostly figure with like fire in his eyes. It's super cool looking. It's super cool looking. We end up finding out it's her boyfriend that...
Well,
tough.
It was her childhood friend. She grew up with him, and they were kind of in a relationship for years and years and years as best friends, but obviously in a committed relationship. But then...
they absolutely loved each other.
Yeah, they did love each other, but
as
she
friends.
didn't love him like that.
She,
and it's implied, but then we find out obviously later on, which I knew that was going to happen, but it was implied that, she came out and said, hey, I'm not interested in you in that way.
But they were pressured by his parents to get married. Yep. She was pressured by his parents to really get married. Mary's parents were very overbearing.
A little pushy, I'd say.
Well, remember, even after he died, they were
they're like, come over and have dinner with us, and you're still want you in the family.
She's like, because it was so heavy on her, because she was living this lie for fucking 30 years, because she was really a lesbian or whatever. Right. But she didn't want to break her best friend's heart.
Yeah. And then imagine having him be mad at you, and then
breaking up with him.
And then immediately getting hit by a car and dying.
But it's not revealed to what, 4 episodes in or something?
I think farther than that. I think it's like 5 or 6.
Because I think Flora brings her the glasses, remember, in like episode 5 or something.
She's panicking about it.
She's like, don't be mad at me. Yeah. Don't be mad at me. But, you really think it's played off early on that the kids are really evil fucking kids. Yeah, and they're fucking with her.
Mm-hmm. Well, because they lock her in that closet, remember? And then there's a mirror in there, and she sees them, and she's freaking out.
And so that's a very stereotypical horror, kind of these evil kids or something. Yeah. But it's not. Flanagan flips out on her head when spoiler territory, when you realize these kids were being possessed by, what's the guy's name? Peter and
Miss Jessel.
Miss Jessel, they were being possessed the whole time, but that closet scene is fucking good.
It is.
When they lock her.
Oh, and she's panicked.
Oh, dude. I thought she was going to be done.
Yeah, you thought I thought they
were going to lock her up in a fucking asylum somewhere after that. No, I didn't think she was going to die, but I thought she'd be, mentally unfit.
Well, for
after that trauma, that PTSD, yeah, for sure. But that's a brutal scene.
It was.
At that point, I'm like, these kids are just fucking evil.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea I had.
But then the kids are protecting her at night, and they're saying, "Don't go out at night." Yep. But of course, no one listens. To these kids.
And Flora too. She tells her, she goes, "You left your room that night. You promised me you wouldn't leave." Yeah, but I mean, it's a good concept too the whole time too, because it's the woman walking and she's forgetting. And see, I thought the dialogue was really well, like explaining that whole story too.
Yeah.
With the no-face woman. After years and years and years.
Played by Kate Siegel.
Yeah. And then,
Mike Flanagan's wife.
Oh, I know.
And from first season of Haunting Hill House.
Haunting Hill House as well, yeah. But, she sees the child on the bed, And then, it would just forget what it was. It just knew it was a child and then took it to the river and drowned the boy. And that's how the boy was in the house.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Man.
It's this awesome kind of
creepy,
like,
it's awesome.
Like, I don't know what you want to call it, like ghost science or something like that. It really kind of tackles the idea of what a ghost is. And kind of that it's kind of just this memory. We're just reliving this last thought that person was living.
Yeah.
So every night she relived going into the house and looking for her daughter, even to the point where so many years had gone by, she didn't know what she was going into the house for. She didn't know what she was looking for. She just was repetition after repetition.
Yeah.
And her spirit was so powerful that it was trapping other spirits, and they call it a gravity well.
Yeah. It's like a vortex.
Yeah, and if you want to believe in ghosts or whatever, that's kind of, gives you evidence of how like a place becomes haunted. It starts with this one tragic soul, and then it's so fucking powerful and so tragic that it traps souls around it from just, because, she slowly just started going into the house and then just grabbing people. I love that too, grabbing people by the neck and just dragging them. It
dragging
looks
them.
So fucking
I know. When she
cool.
did that to Peter and just dragged him down the hallway,
Came
I was
out
like,
of nowhere
oh,
too. Because Mary he's like, all right, we're getting out of here. Flipping the finger guns. He's like, I'm just gonna turn around and then we're gone. Turns around and immediately comes out of nowhere.
Well, when Danny, this was the only time I jumped in the show, but when Danny got it outside when she's chasing Flora, I fucking jumped, dude. So bad. I was like, oh my God.
It looks good, yeah. I think I jumped a couple times. But there's not a lot of jump scares in this.
No, there's not.
I mean, on purpose, because it doesn't need them. It's scary in every other way.
Yeah.
You don't need those shitty jump scares. But
I love that story, though, of the woman with no face, too, because you were talking about the energy and how all these spirits got trapped there. She had, what was the sickness she had?
Some lung disease.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
some
it was
1500.
Yeah,
It was probably a cold.
But man, she refused to die.
Yeah,
and her sister. I like the evolution of the sister too, because she was supporting her older sister for a while, but it became a point where she, you see that turn in the character where she goes, "No, you got to die."
Oh yeah. Well, she was alive or refusing to die for 5 years. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was an awesome story. Yeah, and again to go back to like the ghost science behind it, it's like every ghost story you hear, whatever. It's like it starts out with a tragedy like that, and that's how they became trapped or whatever. But yeah, I loved that story. And I love how they shot the whole thing in black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that whole episode.
Yeah,
or at least for that story.
Yeah, and I love the plague doctor that came in. That was very scary, very fucking frightening because everything was scary back then.
I know the plague doctor. It's such
even
a
the guy that was
weird
supposed to help you.
Yeah. But I love that too because like they set that up. In all of the early episodes, the one scene where where Danny's walking after getting out of the kitchen, and then it turns.
Yeah,
the mask turns.
It's horrifying.
And it was the health.
Yeah, the first, and then you find out, that they are souls that have been trapped because of the gravity well. Yeah,
and it was a place during the Black Plague or whatever plague that was.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck it was. They don't call him a plague doctor, and they call him like a vicar or something in the show, but. Yeah, and I loved how her soul was not able to pass on because she refused the last rites.
Yep.
So her soul was trapped there. And then, like you said, at the start, her sister was like, rooting her on, like, fuck that guy. Yeah, you're right. If you want to stay here, then stay here. Remember, she's telling them, don't give your last rites. Because they were best friends.
They were.
And their entire thing was marry some guy so they can keep the manor in their name or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they just married this guy, and she ended up actually falling in love with him. But then the sister fell in love with them.
Yeah, it got a little tricky.
Yeah. And somehow this house makes people fucking super horny.
Yeah. Well, those big houses can sometimes, I guess.
Everyone that comes in this house starts fucking.
They do, right away.
The main chick starts fucking
Peter
the gardener.
Peter
and Miss Jessel immediately start fucking. Yep. The cook and
Hannah. Yeah.
Hannah are attempting to fuck, even though, spoiler, she's a ghost.
She's a ghost, so it made it a little more tricky.
So he had no idea. He's like, man, I've been
Owen was his name.
Owen's like, man, I've been trying everything. She's
not
budging.
She's not, at all. Like I'm trying to spit my game.
Now, did you know she was a ghost?
You know, I had a feeling.
I knew very early on when she refused any liquids. Mm-hmm. Every time someone offered her a drink, no, I'm fine. Every time I thought that was very strict. But you did see her eating food and stuff at times. So I was going back and forth. I was really not sure. And at first, I'm thinking everyone's a ghost because that's always my initial thought.
Right, same, yeah. Because I gotta be honest, everyone was a ghost.
That's the classic. Yeah, exactly. That's the twist we've been beaten over the head with so much. So immediately, that's my go-to. But I love that Flanagan knows that and knows what people are in their heads. But I knew early on that Hannah was going to be something else.
Yeah, I loved that.
But I loved her story. Yeah,
yeah, and I love the reveal of. The moment she died was the moment Danny was introduced to the boy.
Yes.
Because remember, Flora brings him, the new nanny's here.
It's such good writing. And I haven't read Turn of a Screw or anything like that. But that is just fucking good writing, man.
Awesome writing because it circled everything back together.
She died but her ghost, there's something special about her, and that's kind of a going thing in Mike Flanagan's series, In the last one, Kate Siegel, remember she took off her gloves and she could touch people and know all their traumas and shit. So that's like a common thing is like there's some special people or whatever in this world. It's kind of Stephen King-esque too.
It is.
The Shining-esque. But
well, Mike Flanagan knows how to do Stephen King.
He's read, he's kind of a Stephen King.
Almost made every movie or book to movie too as well.
But exactly. So you could tell, you can see the influence there. But Hannah was something special to where her ghost stayed there, but she was able to go through other people's memories once she became a ghost. And able to not forget like everyone else did.
Right.
And I loved how she kept seeing the crack.
Over and over.
And the crack
and
all the different walls.
Being the last thing she ever saw.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing of that repetition of the last fucking thing.
When you can get lost in your memories too, because the whole timetable's thrown off. So she's always constantly in these different
And that was
time
episode
frames.
8. Maybe my favorite episode is when she's interviewing Owen and she keeps going back and forth.
Because we've said this before.
Yeah,
we have. And then it'll break.
And you have no fucking idea what's going on.
None. That whole episode, you're like...
Because that boy, you still... if you haven't guessed it, you still don't know she's a ghost.
Right, yeah. I had that feeling pretty early on, just like you, because I was like...
Yeah, I think
just the way she was always staring off and the way she was, never really present, I was like, okay.
Well, I knew there's definitely something special about her. Like, maybe even she was more in-depth to these spiritual things, but it ended up because she is one of them.
She is one.
But she was easy to be in. But she was one that when she died, she was able to immediately, project herself to where everyone could see her.
Yeah.
Because the chauffeur, the guy, he had to learn. Remember, he dies, and then he has to slowly learn what he can and can't do.
Right.
And then he learns that he can possess people if they give him permission.
You, me, and us.
Yeah. And then he ends up possessing fucking Miss, what's her name?
Miss Jessel.
Miss Jessel, and then he tries to leave, and he can't leave. Then he fucking drowns her. He ends up being a real piece of shit.
Yeah, not the best guy ever, But
such a tragic story, man. And that's what he gets at the end, too. Mike Flanagan with everything, and how it bounces forth with, what's her name? Carla Gugino, who's in the first one. Yep. She's telling the story
because she was the gardener.
She was the gardener
who fell in love with.
But
Danny.
at the end, it's Flora's wedding.
It is
in 2007,
and Owen's there. Miles is there.
Yeah, but they're all played by different actors, so you don't know which.
Right. And
I get why they did that because if they weren't played, because Owen could have played an older self with prosthetics. Yeah. But you would have immediately known that it was him, so it would have ruined that whole reveal at the end that who these people are. Because the entire time, you're not sure who Carla Gugino's character is. You have no idea. And then you find out of all the people, she's the fucking gardener who didn't play a huge role until the middle.
Episode 6 or 7.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then she ends up marrying, Nell.
Yeah.
But... yeah, it's a great fucking reveal. It's an awesome reveal that you end up finding out that she ended up having to go sacrifice herself to save Flora. But Flora says it at the end that, this isn't a ghost story. It's a love story. And that is really what it is. It's like a horror romance.
But also Miles and Flora don't remember anything either.
Yes.
You know, which is
well, they
very
were
strange.
possessed most of the time.
Yeah, they were. I mean, in all
they had a
fairness.
wild childhood,
Yeah,
to be
they
fair. They had a real... The fact that they both aren't serial killers or just
It's
heroin
astounding.
addicts Because remember from Haunting of Hill House...
Oliver Jackson Cohen, he dealt with some heroin problems.
That was
of
the
his
most
ghosts.
realistic portrayal of someone that got haunted. Is they just go hard on the drugs. That's unfortunately
It is.
But yeah, I
Well,
love.
it's just like Umbrella Academy.
Oh yeah,
He's the same way. He sees dead people, so he's a drug addict.
I don't see any other way of living your life if you're constantly
Being haunted.
by spirits of. I mean, they're not even like fun ghosts. They're ghosts that are still here because something tragic happened to them. So yeah, hit the crack pipe every once in a while.
For sure.
Take
That's
that
what you gotta
edge
do.
off.
Yeah, you got to take that edge off.
But yeah, what did you think about it? Did it hold up to your expectations?
Yeah, it did. I really did enjoy this. I saw a lot of shit online where people were just not happy about this.
Oh,
They just-
really?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you right away because I went away from this being like, yeah, I really did enjoy this.
I liked it a lot.
I got to be completely honest as far as full transparency. Haunting a Hill House, I thought was scarier.
Oh yeah.
So as far as like the horror aspect of it, Haunting a Hill House beats it out as far as scary.
Well, there's
But-
one scare in Haunting of Hill House that is famous now. Is the fucking the car jump scene or whatever. That's yeah. Because there's not a scare like that in Bly Manor, but I don't think there's going to be a scare like that for a while.
Right.
Because that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, it scared the shit out of everyone.
I know. Someone just posted that recently, just that scare on Reddit, and yeah, it's frightening. It's very and I would probably agree. Scariness, Haunting Hill House is probably the scarier one, but there's some good scares in this one.
Yeah, and as far as storyline goes, this one was really well
I think the
done.
story is better in this one. You know, because I really liked the way they jumped around the time.
Yes.
I really like that, and
I always like that. I always like those elements when I'm watching a horror. There's something about going hundreds of years back in time that I love. I love that. I love the old history, the old ghosts. And I feel like they tied all of that in, with the new and the old.
And we talk about horror is the most predictable.
It is.
So when something can keep you guessing
And
in a horror
surprise
film
you.
and surprise you, you really got to give it credit, and that's what Mike Flanagan has continued to do
To accomplish.
And
It's insane.
I haven't seen any of that bad, but I haven't looked into the critics.
Mm-hmm.
I bet critics are giving this good reviews. I bet it's regular people that are.
It's
the other hand.
Well, I mean, it's kind of both, man. I mean, I think Haunting of Bly Manor on. Let me check here. Fucking boy, Bly. I hate spelled or.
Haunting of Bly Manor sounds like a much different film. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like the story in this one a lot. I thought the ghosts with no faces though were pretty scary. It kind of played on my mannequin fears. I really don't like mannequins, so that kind of played and fucked with me. But yeah, I think this is kind of, we talked about it before, but I think it's the new American Horror Story in my opinion.
Except a better one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except American Horror Story was really good first 3 seasons.
It was the first.
It
three
never had
seasons.
story like this though, for sure. I mean, none of them had ever had a story this good.
So yeah, as far as critics, 87%, but the audience score was 61%.
So yeah, I was pretty much correct. Yeah. It's critics, but that's Rotten Tomatoes, and Rotten Tomatoes usually only goes off of the first episode
Which is so
for
stupid.
TV
You
series.
figure you just watch the whole damn thing and then review it. You don't review it off of one episode.
Yeah, but most of the reviews are just for that one episode, though.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. I don't know, but yeah, that's pretty decent. I think there's some great fucking performances in this.
There are.
Henry Thomas. I mean, he's got to be one of the few child actors who's
made it?
Well, I mean, not even made, but he had like a lull in his career and then a comeback in his career. You know, I hope to God he doesn't die of a fucking drunk driving accident. That'd be tragic. You know, we
Yeah,
give him a
of
lot of
course.
shit, but it'd be horrible to lose
Yeah,
him.
it would.
And I hope
because he
I
is
hope-
a talented man.
yeah, and I hope that was just a one kind of time instance, and hopefully he doesn't have an actual drinking problem.
Hopefully not.
I couldn't imagine he would do this role.
Well,
so
unless
on
you
the
do the whole
nose,
Ben
so-
Affleck thing.
Yeah, but even that, he did it after he was.
Yeah,
so if
that's
Henry
true.
Thomas was drinking and
And
doing this role and not
not good.
connecting the dots, then the guy has a problem. He's got a bad. Yeah, it's definitely worth going, especially in the spooky season, man.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's got great spooky atmosphere to get you pumped up.
Do you think they're going to be doing a season 3?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I hope so.
It's just gonna take forever.
I know.
Because Mike Flanagan already has another TV series. What was it, Midnight Mass?
Yep. Something like that. Midnight something.
It's something like that, yeah. So, and I'm great. He doesn't have any other movies in the works, but I'm good if he keeps doing fucking TV shows.
I know, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, Midnight Mass. Yep.
Yeah, which is
It's in
supposed to be
pre-production right
awesome.
now.
Yeah. The premise sounds really cool for that.
And that's the only thing he's working on at the moment, as
Good.
far as writing.
Good. Do one thing at a time, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't push it. Don't get burned out.
No.
But I think these really talented directors are really starting to go towards TV more now. I think they have a lot more freedom with TV,
Well, you do.
especially with Netflix and shit. All right.
All right. Well, that is, we both recommend it. Highly recommend.
Yeah,
Go watch
absolutely.
Bly Manor. I mean, if you listen to this, we spoiled the whole damn thing, but that's what we do here. Alrighty, well, that is our recap for Bly Manor. If you guys like what you're seeing here and you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Audio format, you can find our podcast, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. Social media pages, Twitter, Seen It Podcast. Cash is on Twitter, that's just Cash. Instagram, Have You Seen It? Facebook, Have You Seen It Podcast. And go check out our new merch store. You can find that in the link below. You can get a cool sweatshirt like this.
Ooh.
Or there's going to be a lot more designs coming. So, yeah. With that said, my name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Kraus. Until next time.
Bye.